Ho, 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 ho!
Hello everyone and welcome to another video about application packaging for Microsoft Intune. In this video, I will guide you through step by step on how you can configure, create and deploy an interactive application deployment. I will show you how you can configure the installation script and how to use the same script for uninstallation. Then I will guide you on how you can create an intunewin package with Microsoft Content Prep tool. And finally, when everything is ready, we will then create an application in Intune, upload our intunewin file, set the install and uninstall command, configure the detection room, and finally assign this application to our test group. Then we will log into our test device and have a look at how the installation process and prompts look like. So stay tuned and let's crash this together. Okay, let's start packaging our application. In my previous video about application packaging basics, I covered these two tools and what they do. So I'm not going to do that in this video. We can extract a new instance of PSADT Deployment Toolkit here and rename the extracted folder to Sublime Text because that is what we will be packaging today. It's a tiny text editor. Open the folder and delete these files and folders. Open Toolkit folder, take these files and folders and place them here. Delete the Toolkit folder, that is empty now. We can go ahead and cheat a little bit. We had already configured an XML file for our application logging. Open the Sublime Text, open App Deployment Toolkit, and place your already configured XML file here. So once we have done that, we can open Visual Studio Code as admin. Open our Sublime Text folder, and then open deploy application.ps1. Scroll down until we reach where it says cmd-let binding here. And then here, we want to make sure that the deployment type is set to install and the deploy mode is set to interactive because in this case, we want to have an interactive installation. Once that is done, scroll further down until you reach this part of the code where it says variable declaration. Here we want to set some of the variables. Let's go ahead and set these variables. So the app name is Sublime Text. This is version 4 of the application. The author in this case is me. Install title is going to be Sublime Text 2. Once you have set all these variables, we can keep scrolling down until we reach this part of the script where it says pre-installation. Here are actually some default values, some we can later use in our installation phase. So what we are going to do here is we are going to take this code here, cut them, remove this default value under installation, and paste this code here. I'm going to go ahead, select this and format so it is in line with other part of the code or script. Keep scrolling down and remove all the other default values under post-installation and pre-installation. We are just going to clean our script a little bit and remove these parts that we don't need and we won't be using them right now. And it should look something like this. Okay, let's review our functions here. We have two functions. The first one is show installation welcome. It closes an app, Internet Explorer in this case, allows the user to defer the installation 3 times, checks for disk space, and the prompt is persistent. Okay, good. Now, Internet Explorer is not used very often these days, so we can go ahead and change it to maybe Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Word, and even change the command so it is relevant to our code here, Microsoft Excel and Word. And then the next function here is show installation progress. As simple as it sounds, it will show an installation progress when the installation starts. So one more thing, let's go ahead and change the defer time to 10 because we want our user to be able to to defer it 10 times, this app is not going to be a required app. It's going to be an available app in company portal. So with that said, save this file, search for Microsoft Excel, open it, search for Microsoft Word and open even that, minimize them but keep them open, and then run your deploy application.exe file to test your prompt. So we can see this is what the user is going to see when they click on the install button in company portal. So if they have these two applications open, they will get this prompt to close this application. Okay, so now that our functions are working as intended, we can go ahead and actually execute the installation of the actual program. In this case, it's Sublime Text. I have already downloaded the Sublime Text installation file, so I'm going to copy that inside our files folder here and rename it to setup.exe, just like that. I'm going to even copy the name of this file because we are going to use it just now. We can go ahead and open app deploy toolkit main.ps1 and run this file to get our functions and variables for autocomplete. Close the file after you have run that. Let's clear our screen. And here, under perform installation tasks here, we can create a new line of code and execute a process. And the path to the file is setup.exe. Now we have two options here. Either we can just run it like a usual installation when the user clicks install in company portal, or we can have this run silent installation and just ask the user to close these two applications if they are open. So in my case, I want to do a silent installation, show installation progress, and close these two apps. How can we do that? So let's go ahead and find the installation switch for the setup file. We can find the switches for our exe file by running cmd as administrator, cd into the directory where our setup file is, and type setup.exe, call the name of our exe file, / and question mark, and then we will get this nice help file where it will show us the installation switches for this exe. Now there are a lot of switches for this setup file and we won't be needing all of these. What we are interested here is these switches here, silent and very silent, and it says instruct setup to be silent or very silent, and that's exactly what we need. So now that we know the switch for the silent install of this exe file, we can go ahead and include that in our script. We can go ahead and type parameters and set it to very silent. We don't want to show any default installation grid to our end users here. If you don't want to use the silent switch here and you want to show the user the normal grid from this setup file, go ahead and remove this function because you don't want double installation progress to be shown to your user. With that said, we can save this file and then search for Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel, have them minimized, have them opened, and run our deployment script and see if it works. So we can call our deploy application.exe from here, and we can see we get our prompt here. We can go ahead and click on this close programs to see if the application installs as intended. So it shows the installation progress, and then it says the installation is complete. We can even search for Sublime Text and see that it is recently added and installed. If we click on that, it is working and installed. Perfect. Now next we want to work on our uninstallation part here. So scroll down in the script until you come to the part where it says uninstallation. Now I have already cheated and know where the uninstallation file for this application is. So I'm going to just go ahead and copy this. Here we want to execute a process again, and the path to that file is here. We want to do the same thing here with the parameters. We don't want to show any grid to our end user, so we are going to use a very silent switch here. Once we have done that, we can save the file, call our deployment application.exe with the switch deployment type uninstall. Press enter, and it should silently uninstall our application. You can see here it says Sublime Text uninstallation complete. Now, if we go and search for Sublime Text, it should be gone from our system, and it is. Okay, we have figured out how to show a prompt to our end users during the installation, and how to silently run the installation in the background, and even how to uninstall the application in case the user decides to do that. We can go ahead and close Visual Studio Code. Now, when we install some application via company portal, per default, it runs as a system context, in system context. So in order for us to bring that prompt that we saw and set up earlier, we have to use another file from a toolkit called Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. We will be needing a file from this toolkit that will be showing the prompt from the system context to our end user. So go ahead and search for Microsoft Deployment Toolkit in your web browser and click on the download link for this. After you have done that, go ahead and download this file, Microsoft Deployment Toolkit x64.msi. We are deploying application for system architectures that are 64-bit, but if you are doing it for 32-bit, you can go ahead and download the x86.msi file. I have already downloaded this file and installed it on my system. So after you have downloaded and installed it on your system, go ahead and go to your C drive and then go to Program Files, search for Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. Open that folder. Inside that folder, you have to go to Templates and then go to the folder called Distributions. After that, you can go to Tools, and then inside the folder x64, you can find a file called ServiceUI.exe. Now copy this file, come back to your Sublime Text where all your script and file are, and paste it in the same folder as you have your deploy application.ps1 and deploy application.exe, because we will be needing this file when we are setting our install command in Microsoft Intune. Finally, our work has given some results, so this application is ready to be packaged for Microsoft Intune. Go ahead and open Content Prep Tool folder, copy the path to that folder, open CMD as administrator, and then cd into the Content Prep Tool folder, call our intunewin app util.exe. Let's use C for our source folder, and our source folder is Sublime Text here. Copy the path to this folder, paste it here, and then use S for the setup file, and it is our inside our source folder, and it is deploy application.exe. And finally use output for our output folder, and it is going to be here in our output folder. So copy the path to that folder, paste it here, and enter. Done. We have our application package and ready to be uploaded to Microsoft Intune. Now we can rename this file to install Sublime Text and open Microsoft Intune. Log in as Intune administrator, and we have our apps here at the left menu here, and we are going to create a Windows app. Click on Add and then select the type. The type is going to be a Win32 app. Choose that, and then we are going to select our package. Our package is inside output folder here, and it's going to be installed Sublime. Click on OK, give it a name, a description. The publisher is Sublime Text, app version is 4, and the other things we don't need to worry about. Let's just be nice and choose a logo for this. Now here is where we will be using our ServiceUI.exe file that we have inside our source folder. So we are going to call our ServiceUI.exe and process explorer.exe, and then finally deploy application.exe. And then we are going to, for the uninstallation, we don't need to run a prompt for the user. We are going to silently uninstall the application, so we can just call our deploy application.exe, and the deployment type is going to be uninstall. The rest of it, we can just change the device behavior here as no specific action. and then click on Next here. Let's choose our operating system architecture and click on Next. Now for the detection rule, I have already checked and there are unfortunately no MSI string for this application. So we are going to use a detection rule or detection format and manual configure detection rules. So we are going to add a rule type here is a file. And the path to that file is when we install Sublime Text, it is installed in program files, C program files, and then we can see that here is a folder called Sublime Text. So this is the path for our file, and then file or folder, we want to see if this file is here, Sublime Text exe file is here. If it exists here, then it means that the application is installed. That is how Intune is going to know that the application is installed and it reports back. We are going to click on Next here, Next, Next, and assign it as available to our group here. I have already a group here, a demo group. Select this, click on Next, and create our application. Once our application has uploaded successfully, we can go ahead and log into our test machine here. Open company portal, and our app should be published here. We can go ahead and test the installation here. While it's downloading our application, we can go ahead and have Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Word open to test the installation. And we can see that while the installation starts, you can see the prompt here, and you can see that everything is working. If we click on Close Programs, it's going to go ahead, close our program, and try to install our application. And we can see here that the Sublime Text was installed successfully. What I forgot to show you guys is that you can go ahead actually and change the PS App Deployment Toolkit logo that you see when the prompt window comes up. There is a PNG file inside the App Deploy Toolkit folder that is called App Deploy Toolkit banner.png. Look at the width and the height of that image and create your image as exactly the same width and height of that image and replace it with your own. And then you will see your own company logo when the installation prompt comes up. I have already an image here that I forgot to replace when we package the application, but we can go ahead and test it now. If I go ahead and replace the banner image with my own, and we run the deploy application.exe, then you can see our custom logo here at the top of the prompt window. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching the video. If you have any questions about application packaging for Microsoft Intune, or you have any thoughts, or you are struggling with application packaging, please let me know in the comments. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. I will see you in the next one. Ciao.